Hello, everybody. Coach Allison back with Defy Aging week 20. And we are in one of the tens of weeks. If I said that correctly. So, week 20. And that means it's mobility week. So, we are back to that, and it's going to be run a little bit differently. So, there won't be any high intensity cardio moves, not heavy resistance. We're going to be using a couple of weights today, but the focus won't be going as heavy as possible or anything like that. And yeah, so that's that. We're going to start out with one movement that we're going to kind of use as a starter, and I'll explain that when we're doing the demonstration. And after that first movement, we're going to go into a series of 6 exercises. You're going to be working in your own space today, but everything will still be timed like a more like a standard circuit. But we just aren't going to be rotating around the space. So yes, it will be timed intervals, but you will still be working in your own space. And the intervals are all going to be timed at 40 seconds on, 25 seconds off, and there's going to be 4 rounds of that with 6 exercises. So let's jump into our demonstration. All right, the first movement that I was referring to as kind of a starter that I want us to all do together is going to take a little time to master, and it's going to take a lot of demonstration for your coach to work with you, and it's going to take you a little bit of time to master it yourself. So it's called a windmill, and typically it's done with maybe a weight or a kettlebell, a dumbbell or a kettlebell, but we're not going to do any weights today because it's a lot of mobility. It's a lot of hip mobility, and it's a lot of shoulder mobility. So it is perfect for a mobility focused week or workout. So what we're going to do is your coach is going to take a lot of time to demonstrate it with you. You're going to take a lot of time to practice it. Once you have it down, you're going to do 10 reps on each side. Once everyone is done with that 10 reps on each side, that's kind of our starter. It's still after your warm-up. We're still doing the full warm-up. So that's kind of our starter for the workout. And then we're going to go into the circuit for the week. So here is the windmill. You step wide, and you're going to turn. One foot stays forward, the other foot goes out to the side. So I turn, as you notice, I turned my right foot out to the side. And I'm going to take my right hand, the same foot that I turned out to the side, I'm going to take that right hand, place palm forward. So the back of the palm is on the inside of my thigh here, inside of my leg. Now the biggest part of the mobility, the hip mobility, is this little shift I'm going to do with my hips. So if you saw, I just shifted my hips out to my left. Now I'll do that again. This is my hips straight. Forget about my hand. I'm going to go back to that later. I got ahead of myself on that. So whatever foot is still facing forward, my left foot's facing forward, that's the direction I'm going to shift my hips to. I'm already getting a nice stretch here in my inner thigh by doing that. I'll do it a few more times. Straight, shifting my hips. So you already have to get comfortable with this hip shift. What it's not is leaning. So this is me leaning with no hip movement. So now I'm not moving my hips at all. I'm just leaning from my torso. See the difference? But now watch, I'm going to go back to doing the hip shift. And my body does lean a little bit, but only because I shifted my hips. It's a very big difference. So this is me shifting my hips. I know I'm taking a lot of time on this, but I want to give you a lot of time to get this kind of in your head before we go into the session. So again, shifting my hips, and then now taking it into a lean. So it's a very big difference there. So that takes some practice. So again, my right foot's turned out to my sides, my left foot is forward. I'm going to shift my hip to my left. Now I'm going to place this hand, like I talked about before, back of the palm on the thigh. Now I'm going to take my left arm straight up to the sky, if you can. Now we're talking about the shoulder mobility that I had mentioned earlier. So we already have now hip mobility, shoulder mobility. Okay? There's some balance involved here too. The goal here is to look up towards this hand as we continue this hip mobility. I'm letting this hand draw straight down my calf here. My back of my palm is physically touching my leg. I'm looking up towards the hand that's in the sky. You'd want to do that. You always want to look towards the hand that's up. If you look forward, You tend to kind of do this with the hand, and we want to keep this hand up. And then you come back to the start position. Ideally, you want to try to keep this arm straight up and down at all times. You don't want to let it come out to the side. That's a lot. We're going to do this all together for you. All right, step wide. Turn one foot out, whatever direction you're going to go. Turn one foot out. Pop that hip, shift that hip out to the side. Palm forward, arm up. Look up as you lean to the side. Back to the start. Hip out, come down, and up. Hip out, and down, and up. Hip out. Notice how I'm doing that hip shift out every time I start a new rep. And I'm keeping this left arm straight up and down at all times. I'm not letting it go back here. I'm not letting it come forward. All that's very important with this windmill. So it does take a lot of time to master it. That's why we're having this separate from our timed intervals. If you only had 40 seconds to work on that, your coach would be correcting your form, giving you lots of cues. You probably would only get one rep in. So we're going to take a good 10, maybe 15 minutes at the beginning of the workout and really work on that for this whole week. So 10 reps on each side. I know that was that was the first many minutes of this video. But I wanted to give you guys all a lot of time to watch this, maybe practice it yourselves at home before you jump into the sessions this week. So practice that, and that is our windmill. So our next mobility move, this one is something that everyone knows. It's our halo, but it is actually a great mobility movement also because it's shoulder mobility. So, but I do this week want everyone to focus on a lighter weight. We don't want to really be challenging our resistance this week. We want this to also act this week as sort of a deload week, a lighter week for our weights. So please don't be grabbing something super heavy for this. That being said, it's 40-second set. Instead of our more typical reversing the direction, alternating direction every rep, let's switch direction at the halfway point, just for a little variety. It really doesn't matter, but I always have you guys switch direction each rep. Let's just have the variety this week. So this is our kettlebell halo, just for a quick reminder. As you can see, I'm going to continue going in this direction. Just continuing this direction. So the halfway point, which will be 20 seconds, then we'll switch and go the other way. So again, just for variety, it really doesn't matter. But I feel like we always alternate direction every rep. So have a little variety this week. But yeah, that's our kettlebell halo. That'll be our main focus for shoulder mobility for this mobility week. Okay, our next one is a hip mobility. Hip, a little bit of knees, primarily hip. It's a 90-90 mobility stretch. We're going to do it in a supine position. It's typically done kind of like this, but there is a version of it where it's lying and down, supine, like this. And we're going to do this version this time because we've done the other version before. So you lie on your back and you put your knees a little bit apart, and we let the knees both dip to one side. So you're not trying to force this knee might go all the way down, but you're not trying to necessarily force the other knee all the way down. If you have the ability to bring it all the way down by twisting your hips more, fine, but do not force it down, because as you can see, mine's up a little bit. Then you come back up and go the other way. Go slow and controlled. You can put your arms out to the side if you prefer. Hold in the stretched position for a few seconds if you like, just to feel that nice stretch. Okay, you get the idea, right? Okay, so anyone staying off the floor, you can do this seated. The range of motion, of course, won't be as extreme. So you're gonna grab a bench or a box, something comfy to sit on, kind of scoot towards the edge, put your hands on the edge, put your feet wide, and you're gonna do kind of that same thing. You also reposition your feet a little bit. This is a little high. Ideally, one of the regular benches that you would lie on, like in the weight room, that's going to be maybe 2 inches lower. It's going to be a little better. This is just kind of what I had. So the bench is going to be preferable to this. This is a little high. because as you can see, I'm kind of angling down. You'd want to be more flush, but anyway. So, but yeah, you get the gist. Do it seated like that. So that's our line or our supine 90-90 stretch. Next one is a single leg hip circle. We're going to be doing this on the floor and starting in a quadruped position. I'm going to hit that, so I'm going to turn this way. Okay, and keep your neck neutral. So I'm going to be looking at you at the camera, but ideally you want to keep a nice neutral neck, which means looking straight like this. Well, I guess I can look straight down because you can hear me just the same, so I can do it properly. One leg at a time, obviously, but I just mean we're going to do 40, split the 40 seconds into two halves. So 20 seconds on one leg, 20 seconds on the other leg. But you keep your knee bent and circle it around like so. It's going to look a little different for everybody. Okay, you're just drawing a circle with this knee. Honestly, it gets a little tiring also on the stationary, the stabilizing leg, because that leg is then single-leggedly balancing you and stabilizing you. So you'll get tired on that other leg, but don't worry, you're going to be switching it soon enough. One couple things to keep in mind is keep your body as still as possible to really isolate the movement in the hip socket. Your hip is, ball and socket joint. So we want to move it in that joint. So we want to make sure we're not like, see, now I'm turning my body to help the movement. So want to avoid like turning the hips and turning the body like this. And instead of that, just keep your body very still. So keep your torso and your stomach and your chest facing down at all times. Don't turn it to the side. So keep your body very still while you're doing that. Of course, we always have options to stay off the floor, right? So anyone not getting onto the floor, no problem. You can hold something for balance. That's not an issue at all. We don't want to worry about the balance at all. So go ahead and do that. But it's really the same. You're just going to lift your knee, circle the leg around, and then end right down with feet together where you started. So it's really almost very similar, the exact same thing. And very similarly, see how I'm keeping my body straight forward when I do this? Same thing as I was telling you to stay still if you're on the floor. I'm not like turning my body like this to make a bigger movement because I want to isolate the movement in the hip socket. And if you turn your body, that's not doing that. It's making it a big body movement, whereas we want it to be an isolated hip joint movement. So that same rules apply standing or on the floor. That's our single leg hip circle. All right, next one is a prone single leg hip extension. It's one of those ones that's deceivingly more difficult than it looks. So that being said, prone means you're on your stomach, supine is on your back. So you can just get comfortable with your upper body. I'm just resting my chin on my arms, or you can rest your forehead. This is probably better because you want to keep more of a neutral neck typically, actually. So, but anyway, one leg at a time. So I'm going to bend one leg up, flex your foot. So this is a relaxed foot. So this is a pointed toe. This is just relaxed. I'm not doing anything. And this is flexed. So flex your foot. It's just so hard. I don't want to do it. So all we're doing, it's not that bad. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be dramatic. All we're doing is lifting that leg as high as you can off the floor. That thigh as high as you can off the floor. And actually, you might see I took my other foot and flipped it onto the toe for a little bit of leverage. You'll probably want to do that instead of like this. That kind of hurts. That can hurt your knee. So can you see my other foot there? Flip it onto the toe for some leverage. But, okay, just as high as you can. You're kicking your heel up to the ceiling. So, a couple things to keep in mind. Now, don't lift this hip. Now, this is my hip bone right here. Okay? Right here's my hip bone, and this goes up to my stomach. So we're not twisting the body and turning. Now I'm using my core muscles to like turn my body off the mat. That's not what we're doing. We're keeping the hip bone and the stomach flat on the floor. And all we're doing is lifting that thigh off the floor. Okay, it's harder than it looks. So that is the single leg hip extension. 20 seconds on each side. Now, for anyone staying off the floor, it's going to be a little different, of course. You can use one of these mini bands. Please sit on something to put them on, put it on. Don't do what I just did. But it's going to be around your ankles, so just above the shoe. Again, please hold on to something for balance, no problem. Like I'm going to just use the wall here. And it's going to do little pulses forward. 20 seconds one side. Keep a soft bend in the knee. See how I'm keeping a very soft bend in the knee. And then, of course, 20 seconds other side. Don't come all the way down each time. Then you'll start using too much like momentum like this. We don't want that. We want to keep it like tension on it. So that's why I'm doing more pulses, keeping that tension on it. So that's our single leg hip extension. Standing version is going to look a little different with that mini band. Half kneel wood chop is the next one. We're actually not going to use a weight for this. Typically in our regular workout, we would use a weight. This is just mobility focus only, so I want to focus more on the stretch and the range of motion. I don't want to focus on the weight at all. That would be so much delt and shoulder. We already have the kettlebell for the halo. So that said, no weight. Half kneel position. Okay, make sure this leg isn't out to the side too much, but it should be relatively like in line, kind of in front of you. Arms just in front of you. Pretend you're holding on to like a ball. If you know, you can use silver sneakers balls if you just like having something to hold on to, because those are pretty much weightless for the most part. So if you really, really want something to hold on to, just have, you can use that. That's it. No, nothing weighted. Well, hello. So start down, body and arms are in the kind of to the lower space, the open space in front of you, and then we rotate up and back as far as you can twist. And then slowly come back down. Your head is always following, your gaze and your head is always following your hands. That's very, very important for the mobility component because you'll twist farther. The range of motion will be better when you do that, when your gaze follows your hands. So this is me continuing to look forward and trying to twist up and back. Now watch how much farther I can twist if I let my head and my gaze go too. See how much farther I moved? A good couple of inches. So. Okay, so then 20-second mark, all you have to do is switch your leg position and then start going the other way. Slow and controlled. When you go down with your arms, make sure you're not leaning. We're not leaning down like this. It's just the arms coming down. Keep a tall posture at all times. And then when you go back, really twist and reach. You might get a couple cracks in your back. Totally fine. A couple pops, snap, crackle pops back there. If you're unable to go to the floor, we're going to do a seated version. Again, sit towards the edge of the box. Helps you to sit up a little taller, really tall so we're not slouching. Start down here. Up and back. And again, we're not leaning down at all, keeping up tall. So, seated version works just great, just fine. And that is our half kneel wood chopper. This last one I love. It's called the pinwheel. It's very similar to a fitness test. We're not testing this, but it's very similar to this fitness test for mobility. So I guess I have to turn away from you. Well, from the front, you'll get what I'm gonna do here. We do this, hold for 1 second, extend. Kind of looks like some sort of choreography for a neat dance. Okay, so that's what we're doing, but let me show you what's happening. It's another shoulder mobility focus. That's what we're doing. I hate turning away from you. It's weird, but so. No, sorry. Top hand is palm on your back. Bottom hand is back of the palm on your back. And we open up. Watch my hands as they rotate. Again, top hand is palm on the back. Bottom hand is back of the palm on the back. I'm just going to keep switching that. I'm going extra slow so you can see what's happening, but honestly, this is about the speed you'd want to go anyway. Definitely with mobility things, they're never fast. Seeing how far you can, or sorry, how close you can get those hands without forcing anything. Actually feels really good. Another one where you might get some cracks in your spine, maybe and some pops in your shoulders, but hopefully they're, you know, just some air trapped in there. You shouldn't get any bad, any bad pops or cracks. I think hopefully you're seeing my hands rotate and you're getting the gist here. But again, remember, top hand is the palm on your back, bottom hand is the back of the hand on your back. Okay, I think I did about 10 of those. You should have been able to figure out what was going on there. So that is gonna, woo, shoulder mobility, but it's opening up the chest too, which is great because typically we have just our day and age, we're kind of all hunched like this. So it's great for opening that up. I love this one. So good luck with that one. That's our pinwheel. All right, our team builder. It's going to be another one that's actually great for mobility because it's going to be great for hip mobility, maybe some knee mobility, and depending how low you get, maybe even some ankle mobility. It's going to be a duck walk. I'm gonna let your coach decide how they want to run this. If they want to do a relay, if you have enough people, or just kind of everyone take their turns and everyone get it done and cheer each other on type of thing. So I'm gonna let the coach decide. Um, but you need the larger size medicine balls, the lighter ones, I would say, so they roll easier. You're going to be in a wide stance, kind of like a sumo, but we're not thinking of it like a sumo squat, really. Stay low, stay wide, and you're going to walk, staying low as you roll this ball. Does it look silly? Uh-huh. Is that okay? Yeah. To the side. Keep your back straight. So what we're not doing is just reaching down and doing this. I mean, this isn't like bad for your back, first of all. Rounded spine, bad. But there's nothing beneficial there. It's actually counter, it's bad. So you want to keep that back up, that chest up and the back straight. You can have an angle, you can have a 45-degree forward fold, but the spine is still straight. It's not rounded like this. Okay? It's tricky. It's hard to walk wide-legged whilst pushing something. So this will be a lot of fun. Have fun with it. Cheer on your fellow participants, and that's going to be our team builder. All right, that's our mobility week. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Again, use these mobility weeks to, well, help your mobility, obviously, but it's also a great opportunity to take a week, give your body a rest from our more typical higher intensity, more challenging workouts, and just give your body a little, like I said earlier, a deload week, a break, give those muscles a break, and you might come back stronger, fresher, and ready to get back to just hit it hard again next week. So hope you enjoy it. See you back in week 21.